John 8:32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And what it's going to set you free from is the bonds and the chains of lies which bound the whole world and all the people. The whole world and all the people are covered in gross darkness. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Awashai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathens that look like the heathens, and to the Akwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming with you in another lesson in truth. And this video is inspired by a conversation that I had yesterday with one of my teammates when it was just he and I there. And without going, too deep, only went one deep, didn't go 2-3 deep, kept it very surface because, you don't want to bring the, that sort of attention to the workplace, but kept it very basic because he was wearing a t-shirt that said Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu. And, and I read it and then it started a conversation. And, we got to talking about the Hebrew and that whole sort of thing that came up. And I said, well, in the Hebrew, there were no vowel points. He was like, yes, I know, we added them so we could say Jehovah and stuff like that, and he started pronouncing the va and the tav, and I was like, oh, so you're aware of it, that's not the actual Hebrew. And he was aware of it, right? But that's what is accepted, and that's what people argue actually is the Hebrew. And the fact that this learned scholar on the screen is also talking about learning to speak the Hebrew without vowel points, because the vowel points were added, all right? And they were added for a couple reasons. As a matter of fact, the very language that they use the Assyrian script. The very fact that they even use the Assyrian script is very suspect, because what you find out is that the house of Judah, all right, they never use the Assyrian script. They always use the Phoenician, and the relics in the history prove that fact. When you look up all the coins from the time period from John Hyrcanus until Herod, until the Romans actually sacked Jerusalem, they were not using the Assyrian script. The only people to use the Assyrian script was the Northern Kingdom, which was physically, for the most part, outside maybe a few that were still scattered among the Southern Kingdom, they were not around. So the very fact that they use the form of Hebrew that they use is evidence that they're not the actual people. And then the argument comes of, well, our DNA takes us back to the Middle East. Well, the Middle East is a direction, first off, all right? And the Middle East is in Asia, always have been. The Middle East is Asia, all right? You got Asia Minor, they even split it up, and then you got Asia Major, but it's in Asia, Western Asia, all right? And there was no race of Asians. You had people that lived in Asia, you had people that lived in Africa, you had people that lived in Europe, all right? You can't name, people after a continent, and then they don't acknowledge migrations of people through wars and conquering and just moving around. They don't, because for the most part, in a lot of places in the world, there are very few people collectively who are still in the original lands that they were in the beginning, when the world was divided up by the Lord. Okay? But with that all being said, the Northern Kingdom was using the Assyrian script, not the Southern Kingdom. So you have to ask yourself, if you got Jewish people that have always been in the land of Israel and they got scattered, and they went, according to them, they went to, Poland and Ukraine, Kiev and Crimea, they've admitted that they were the Khazars. It was ridiculous to try to say that they weren't. But now what they've done, and now they've said that the Khazars roots go back to Jerusalem, which is probably true. And the reason why is because they're those Edomite converts from the time of John Hyrcanus. So of course they're going to go back to Jerusalem and the what they refer to as the Mideast. They're going to go back to Asia Minor, to Western Asia. Let's call it what it really is, because they were there. That still does not make them the people. And the reason that they changed the languages is because here in the America, the Phoenician Hebrew, as soon as the Assyrian captivity was over and the natives came here to the America, and all the hundreds and hundreds of books and scholars that were written on the subject matter that the natives were, even the movie Kathmandu with, you can find that movie clip on YouTube. In the movie Kathmandu, the scene when the rancher introduces his new ranch hand, a Cherokee, to Kat, and tells her that the governor or the senator said that this man was one of the lost tribes of Israel, and the native guy was professing that he's not. I'm not a lost tribe of Israel. I'm Cherokee, and the reason they said that is because the Hebrew language, the Phoenician Hebrew, was found all over America. The natives were keeping the Hebrew customs. They were keeping the Passover. They had the multiple wives. They had they separated themselves from their wives when they're on administration. I mean, the things, when they were doing their late womanly time, the customs and the things that they were keeping was just even the words that they were using, and more importantly, the language that they were using and the written script that was found. So my belief is that the converts, who when they converted from the time of from the Khazarians, which they can no longer deny that, so they really owe Arthur Koestler an apology and his family and his lineage. But and all the people who've denied that over the years, because the evidence is overwhelming that they were the Khazarians. As a matter of fact, the Ukrainians still use the same symbol that the Khazarians used. All right. The issue is that the Khazarians did go back to the land of Israel, but they were those converts. They weren't the Israelites. That's where the issue comes in, right? Because the Israelites never used the form of Hebrew that they're using in the land of Israel today. They didn't use the Assyrian script. The southern kingdom was using the ancient Phoenician or Paleo Hebrew, right? Fact, you can look all this up. So, and that's why this guy would make a video about speaking without the vowels, because they added the vowels. He even admits it's 22 characters. There was no A, E, or a U sound. There wasn't even a V sound, right? They replaced the W with the V with the V, right? So also in actual Hebrew, every place where there's a V is actually wa, all right? But let's let him speak.
I'm a co-author of the best-selling Amazon book, The Art and Science of Success, Volume 3. I wrote the chapter called The Ancient Success Secrets of the Rabbis. I have different Hebrew programs that are available, and I'm a recent graduate of the Master of Arts of Jewish Studies at Hebrew College and currently attending Web Yeshiva to learn more about Torah. The question of this video is it hard to learn to read Hebrew without vowels? So maybe you didn't know this, but in modern Hebrew, in the newspapers or books that you buy, the vowels are typically not written. And I've asked people, and they said usually they learn to wean children off of these vowels by 2nd or 3rd grade, and after that they don't need them. Well, how is this possible? It might be hard to understand if you're from an English or a Romance language or a Germanic language or something like that. In our languages, our languages are just totally different. Hebrew is a consonantal language. It's based on the 22 letters. And basically,
there it is. It is based on the 22 letters. So they added the vowel points, and then they try to wean them off of it. All right. Like I said, they added the Romance languages. So they added the European, what's referred to as European Romance languages today, the Latin languages. They added the vowel points of those languages to the Hebrew. Eliezer Ben Yehudi was responsible for that in the late 1800s. You can look him up. All right. This is the book of Acts, the 26th chapter and the 14th verse. And it reads, and when they were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, whom thou persecutest. So when the Lord came and spoke to Paul and the men that were with him, all the witnesses that witnessed it, he witnessed his sight. When Paul heard his voice, he heard it in the Hebrew tongue. English is not, or the Yiddish-based, Slavic-based Hebrew that's used today, written with Hebrew characters, all right? Because that's exactly what it is. That's not the language that he spoke. He spoke the actual Hebrew without the vowel points that will be written in the actual Hebrew. The same way it was even when you watch the movie The Ten Commandments, when Moses came down, when Charles, the character that was played by Charlton Heston, when he came down, when you look upon the tablets, it was written in the Paleo or the Phoenician style of Hebrew. It wasn't written in the Hebrew that was used today. All right, and the Judeans never use the Assyrian Hebrew, which is what exposes this is a serious damaging truth, not hateful or anything, but it is a serious damaging truth that they can't get around, and it's just one of those things that now that that's out, I just wonder when it's going to come a talk point, and what lies they're going to try to fabricate or create to get around that fact. All right. Because once again, when you go into the relics from the time period and the time frame, you will find that, on the coins and the different relics, well, you didn't see the Assyrian style Hebrew that you see today that he was just talking about. All right. So let's go to this short video from TikTok. Let me pull it up, where this Edomite scholar was Japanese legend that says let me pause it. He went to the Los Lunas stones in Los Lunas, New Mexico, right, which was written on the Deuteronomy 17th chapter, the 12 tribes of Israel, and the name of the Father and the Son in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, in the Phoenician style Hebrew. So with that sort of evidence around, all right, it would have been hard to justify what these Edomites were doing here in America to the chosen people, at the same time claiming to be Christian, all right, and then with and then whatever connection that the Jewish community had it, because they were a big part of the building of America, actually usually in the background playing some of the most important roles, right? We don't even want to go into to who owned the slave ships. The records of that is still around, all right. But nevertheless, that would have really condemned what they were doing. So I personally believe that they decided to use the Assyrian script and then added the vowel points to duck and dodge and get around the fact of what they did to the actual chosen people, because they're very well aware that the natives were of the lost tribes of the 10 tribes, and they are very well aware that the Negroes that they bought from west coast of Africa and from Portugal and Spain, when they brought them here in slavery, they were very well aware that those people were the original inhabitants of the land of Jerusalem, of the land of Israel. They're very well aware of that, and that's just an uncomfortable truth. And the Lord has pulled back that veil, that covering. I think there's Isaiah 25:7. Let me get it, then I'll play the short video where the brother Elder Kazak actually commentates on the Edomite scholar who went to that Los Lunas stone rock and interpreted the name of the Lord Yahweh, not Yahweh. All right, which is way. That sound is an added. That's part of that stuff that his people added. The gentleman on the screen here, but oh yeah, I was lost track of my thought. 25:7. Yes, Isaiah 25:7, it reads, "And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations." All right, so the Edomites spread this veil of confusion over all and renamed all the nations, and one of the main things they did with that was through language, and even more so, they created these color lines, that were never used before in time. Because in the times past, you could have someone look like him and someone that looked like Shaquille O'Neal who actually had the same father, and they were both brothers and heirs to the same throne, even though they looked different, all right, because they had different mothers, all right. But seeing it being that they were both of the sperm of their father, and if their father was the king, then these very two different sons were still both heirs to the throne. So it never mattered what color you were. It always mattered what bloodline, what sperm line, who your father was. So when Esau came into power the second time, all right, in the Renaissance, that's when all this racial lines according to color was created, and it created that confusion. And now through the truth of the Bible, with the truth setting us free, we have removed that, because guess what? Some of our people actually look like this guy. So it's not about color. The people who come against this truth, mainly Esau, Edom, they try to keep it about color, to keep it racial, and to try to keep it on the lines upon hate, upon racial lines. And so literally what they're doing is they're adding words and trying to control the narrative and make it something that it is not. All right. So we as the Hebrew Israelites, and of course you got some Israelites out there screaming that black Israelite, thing and black only. No, that's not true. That's so far from the truth. All right. First of all, there's no such thing as black people or white people. Those are created social constructs, false social constructs. Remember, according to the Bible, it was all about your father, who your father was. It really had nothing to do with your complexion. All right. But let's play this video of the elder Kazak going in on what this, doing a commentary when I remember, this was maybe about 5 years ago when he went to Los Lunas, New Mexico and did this video. I remember. All right. Hold on. Let me turn it up and pull it up. There we go.
Edomite coming here, and the Edomite said in that clip that the Lord's name is Yahweh. All right?
Again at dawn. He starts writing again. He keeps on going. Somewhere along the line here, he realizes, oh shoot, I forgot a commandment. I just went from delivery from a house, from.
And over time, they've scratched and damaged this. They tried to, hide this. All right. They started, messing with it because it used to be a lot clearer. So just like how they knock the lips and the noses off of certain, artifacts that are found in different parts of Europe to try to hide the presence of the brown skin rule and people, and in different parts of North Africa, that's exactly what they were doing here as well. But you can see the Yahweh right here. All right, but
Egypt and the house of bondages, and or slaves or whatever, servants, the house of servants, and I started right into not making yourself a idol. I started right into that, and then he realizes somewhere along the line, at what point, it looks like he continued to write, not to take up, not to uphold. Et down here, that's missing. The aleph is gone. The ta is there. Et Shem, Yahweh, the name of the Lord. Don't take up the name of the Lord. Yeshua.
So those were natives that wrote that.
Yeshua.
Mind you. So, like it says, these elites send their best scholars to accurately translate the ancient writings of the Paleo-Hebrew, and then they decide to use their form of it, what they created. All right. So let me just grab two more scriptures and close this out. This is Zechariah and Zephaniah. Zephaniah, go there first. Zephaniah 3 and 9. And it reads, for then I will turn to the people. What people? The people of the Lord and the whole world. All right. But most importantly, to the people, to the actual Israelites, the remnant, because they're the ones that need that name to get salvation. All right. It says, for then I will turn to the people of pure language, that they may call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one consent. So there'll be no more confusion with Jehovah and Yahweh and Yahweh and, and Yeshua. You're going to know the name of Yahweh while Yahweh Shai, because you're going to learn and understanding. We're going to get the pure language of heaven back, like in the Lord's Prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. So we're going to get the actual language of heaven back. Okay. And then, hold on, where was I going? Oh, Zechariah now. 14. And 9. And it reads, and Yahweh shall be king over all the earth in that day. There be one Yahweh and his name one. So there'll be no more confusion about what the name of the Lord is. All right. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Wa abba wa ba kwam yasra shalom.